Welcome to the Lead and Learn Lounge, the podcast for paediatric allied health professionals who want to lead with heart, purpose, and a little bit of play. We're your hosts. I'm Lauren Haskins.
And I'm Marion Giddy.
This podcast is your invitation to pull up a chair, slow things down, and join us for real conversations about what it really means to lead in paediatric practice today. We're not here to hand out expert advice or perfectly packaged solutions. Instead, we'll be sharing honest reflections, asking thoughtful questions, and exploring the things that matter. From building inclusive teams and rethinking workplace design to understanding your own leadership style.
Including if you're someone who's wired a little differently. Whether you're leading a team, leading a project, or simply leading yourself through the next stage of your career, there's something here for you.
So get comfy and let's lead and learn together. Welcome back to another episode of the Lead and Learn Lounge. I am joined by Marion Giddy and I'm Lauren Haskins, and we are here talking all things leadership in the paediatric allied health space. Hi, Marion.
Hello. Good to be back.
This topic today came about as it started off as a bit of a joke, but we've been seeing a lot of the day in the life of trend happening on social media. So what was your immediate response when I pitched this to you as something that we were going to talk about, Marion?
I mean, I'm a very trendy person. Trends are my life. That's absolutely what I try and embody every day. So this is right up my alley.
Said with so much sarcasm.
So much, yeah. It's not really my thing, but let's get on board.
Okay, so the reason that I thought that this would be good to talk about was what I had spoken about in previous episodes in terms of what does that rhythm and flow look like for a business owner, or what does that rhythm and flow look like as a leader in the paediatric allied health space? So, we're certainly not going to go off of trends in terms of, being able to, and capture content that looks at the day in the life of. But if I had to say to you, what does a typical day look like for you, Marion, as the owner and as a speech pathologist, but as an owner of a paediatric allied health practice, what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, at the moment, and I think that's the key, at the moment, what a day has looked like and probably will look like in the future is just going to change all the time, right? And I think that's where a lot of the coaching that I do and support of, the team at CUI is really around self-organization and how we actually build in rhythms to our days, our weeks, our months in a way that allow us to choose our priorities well, but at the moment, day in the life. So for context here, I'm 35 weeks pregnant. I'm co-sleeping with my toddler, my 3-year-old. So day in the life's pretty specific. We're generally up around 6. We start with making pancakes because we eat a lot of pancakes in our house. I'm trying to get more fiber in them. We're trying to find creative ways to hide things in the pancakes at the moment. Unlike in previous phases of my life and my leadership, I'm not currently doing any morning exercise. That was a big part of my morning. Like, I used to be a 4 a.m. gym person, meditate, gym, all of these sorts of things before starting work at 7:30, whereas now it's very slow mornings with my boy and getting ready and getting into the clinic on a day when I'm in the clinic. So a clinic day for me, what that will look like, my role at CUI is largely in the human resources space, in supporting the team, in team development, and also doing a lot of our strategy projects and supporting our reception team. I'm sure there's other things. But so, for example, today I've started the day with 2 one-on-one coaching sessions. So one with one of the leadership team here, and we were exploring lots of interesting ideas around how you hold multiple perspectives and integrate different perspectives into responding to communication. And then, a much more practical session with one of our early career speech pathologists around goal setting and outcome measures and what that looks like in communication with clients. So coaching can be really diverse. It's really around supporting professional skills. A couple of coaching sessions I've jumped on with you. I'm going to have some lunch in a little bit, and a little bit more one-on-ones this afternoon, and then I'm going to be moving into a bit of project time to finish the day. So the outcome I generally have sort of structured meetings blocked in, and then in the space that's not meetings, I've already pre-allocated the work that's happening in that time. So today I am setting out the structure for our pre-grad program, which is starting again in October. Very exciting. I'll finish the day around 4, go home. Again, it's toddler time. James, my husband, is an avid cook. He absolutely loves it. So he does our dinners. I believe it's brisket tonight. We have an early dinner, and then head into our bedtime routine. So pretty structured at the moment, pretty slow.
We had brisket for dinner last night. So
delicious. It's great. The slow cooked meat. But that's pretty characteristic for us. So, from a work perspective, it's flowing between meetings where that's necessary and project work. But I think in terms of the day in the life for me, what's been really important for my prioritization and self-organization is having really good systems around how I prioritize my time, know what I'm working on, when I'm working on it, what the outcomes are, and increasing my capacity to say no to unexpected things and actually choose with agency what I'm putting into my schedule and what I'm saying no to. And for a long time, I feel like I worked at a real hamster pace, and I will not do that anymore. I'm very deliberate about what I choose to do and say yes to, and where the boundaries of my working day are and what they look like. So I think that's a process that evolves for leaders over time, isn't it? We learn a lot through the tricky bits. Yeah. What about you?
I'm on the other end of, so my children are 12 and 14. My son's birthday was earlier this week. So 12 and 14. So, it will come as no surprise to you, Marion, that my day is a lot less structured in terms of how I operate generally. I think it's as a business owner, and our roles are really dynamic. And I think that part of it you touched on at the end there was just that there are so many different demands and so many different things, and that they're ever changing. So dynamic is probably the best way of putting it, is that you do need to adapt your day to be able to support the evolving needs of the service in the clinic. So I do have a bit of a rhythm and a routine that I like to stick to, but that space to be able to prioritise, what's actually required of me is really important and something that I've learned over time. And I think to address that a little bit too, it's also being really clear on what my role and function is within the business. And that's been something that has taken me a long time. And I would say I'm still refining it. I think, but I think being really clear on what my role is within the service.
Yeah.
And what
isn't,
I want,
right?
And what it isn't, and also what I want it to be as well. So we've just recently brought on a practice manager. We've never had a practice manager before, and I've shared a few times, one of her key objectives is to tools. I want to be back seeing clients, because there's so much of what has been my role previously takes me away from the thing that gives me joy and fulfills me, which is seeing clients and family. So the reason I share that is because today and I do have some clients booked in, which is fabulous. So for me, a typical day, I generally before my children, and I like to look at my inbox. I like to look at our team's chat, and so I can plan ahead for the day, and I get some of the the routine tasks done, which will help set me up for the day. I then get the children ready for school and get them organised, because even though they are 10 years older than your child, they still require a great deal of support to get out the door. So get them out the door, which then frees me up for the day. So I'm only in the clinic a couple of days a week. And when I am in the clinic, it does look different to when I'm working from home and the tasks that I'm working through. But today, my main role within a growing understanding at the moment is more of a strategic role. So my pillar, which is something that we look at, is looking at the values and vision and strategy for the business. So this morning, my very first thing that I did as I was coming in the door, I'm sitting on a few advisory groups. So for Speech Pathology Australia, as well as other peak professional bodies. So I had a advisory meeting this morning. I then had a meeting with my practice manager about some of our key focus areas. I did a with one of my clinical leads and around some supervision. Jumping on with yourself, we huddle today as a team. So we come together and we talk about our priorities for the week and more from that operational perspective. I've got another advisory group meeting this afternoon. Today's a longer day than normal for me. So I started in the clinic a little bit earlier. And then I'll see clients this afternoon after that advisory meeting. And then I've got a webinar that I'm doing after hours today. So, I had hoped to do that in my transit home, that I would just be able to listen. I've got about a 50-minute drive home. So I was hoping to do it in transit, but they've said it's more of a working session rather than an interactive session rather than just a listening. So we will see. But I think getting clarity on what it is of what your role and scope is can really help you to define what your own rhythm looks like. And it's a really hard thing to do, when you know that you want to be more clinical, or if you want to be more in with your team, what do those meetings look like? What do those discussions
that role
look
definition,
like?
right? And I think in leadership and in leadership in private practice in particular, often some of the leadership roles, if they're new or if they're emerging or if it's a business owner role that's quite dynamic, the role might be undefined, and that can make prioritization and decision making around your schedule really tricky, so that clarity in your purpose, that clarity in what you need to be achieving in your roles and what that looks like is just so important to figure out and grapple with until it's nice and clear. So you don't just feel like you're wading through the weeds all the time. Reactively just figuring things out. It's like it sets that, as you say, that vision, that strategy, what you're doing in your role with your time.
We just, and this is something to share with those who are listening, we did an exercise within our team which has been really helpful just in terms of that role clarity. So for each of the roles within our leadership team in particular, we ran it through the RACI matrix. So RACI, and it's basically, what are you responsible for? What are you accountable for? What do you consult on? And what do you just need to be informed of? And so that was really helpful for all of the tasks, all of the things that you do in the day. What is it that you actually should be responsible for, accountable for? And that difference and that shift between responsibility and accountability. Because I think that's something that, in terms of what a day looks like, I think if you know what you're ultimately accountable for, versus what is it that you're actually responsible for, I think that can shift, and that can be for the whole team as well. So, a team member might be responsible for seeing clients, but ultimately that accountability of how many clients that they're seeing through the day, where does that sit? Does that sit with your clinical lead, or does it sit with the clinical director? So I think being really clear on that and then communicating that with your team. So as a really simple size, putting through your job descriptions into that RACI matrix. We just did it in an Excel spreadsheet, and doing it as a team is a really practical way to help you to get clarity on your day and what a good day in the life of looks like.
we recently did a similar one, and I noticed that we've totally gone on a tangent here. That's okay. We're redefining some of our leadership roles at the moment, and the framework that we're using is informed by integral theory. It's called the Basque model, but I'm integrating that with an OKR model as well. So the Basque model is like behaviors, attitudes, skills, knowledge, and energy and engagement. And then integrating that with objectives and key results and having that defined for the role, as well as then a section on essentially cross-collaboration and stakeholders, which is, a little bit like what you're talking about. How does this role intersect with others, and having that really clear defined, what is the scope and what is outside of the scope of decision-making in this role, and what are the communication channels. So our role descriptions are looking pretty beefy. Yeah. After that, they're like 7 pages long. But I think the clarity is just so good that we're getting from moving through this process and having these discussions. It's new. We're not finished yet, but the final piece that I want to bring into them is a developmental question, an inquiry question that leader, particularly for leaders in the team, that they can build in, which is specific then to something in that role description, that they can use as a self-reflection tool in part of their annual growth processes. So it's just that clarity piece, because how, day in the life of, you might get some inspo from other people as you're looking at these trends on social media and think, oh, that's cool, or I'd like to do more of that, or I'd like to do more of that. But, the clarity in your intention for yourself as a person and as a human and what you need from your day, as well as the roles that you've said yes to and committed to and what they require from you, balancing all of that requires that level of clarity, doesn't it?
I think it has to, because otherwise you just find yourself in this. You're just reacting to what the day brings you, as opposed
feeling
to
frustrated by the things you're not able to, you feel that you can't choose because you just don't have the time, when actually it's, really reclaiming I love the word agency. Like, what am I an agent over? What do I have responsibility that I can actually choose, personally, professionally, It's got to start with clarity, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's really helpful. Thanks so much for sharing your day, what a typical day looks like for you. And no doubt your typical day is also going to change over the next few weeks
imminently.
and months. Yeah.
It's going to be quite different. That's okay. But it does, right? Like, different phases require different things from us. So we've got to be able to calibrate.
And I think it's just nice. And the reason why I think that this was a good topic to share is that I think, it is helpful for people to hear what we as business owners, how do we spend our days? What is it that we're working on? Because you and I operate differently, as will anybody who's listening. They will have different rhythms and flows and priorities and different structure. But I think I find it really helpful to hear how others are doing it, and hopefully just taking one thing that you might be able to apply to your own situation and your own way of working as well. Thanks so much for listening, and as always, there is further information on the Let's Grow Together website about how we can support you as leaders in the paediatric allied health space. We have some online resources as well as this podcast, and we're here to be able to provide some support and training and really help you as leaders in the paediatric allied health space and develop your skills and confidence to be able to do that. And look forward to speaking further in future episodes. Thanks, Marion.
Thanks, Lauren. See you soon.